What's up, guys? Right on Sports News. Today we're going to be tackling a topic that I definitely wanted to get into because the more and more I think about it, I just keep thinking that this is going to be remembered as the season of what ifs for the Miami Dolphins. I mean, they started off on fire. Started off 7-3. They go ahead, have possibly the game of the year, the most exciting game where they came all the way back and beat the Ravens. I mean, they were down like 28-7 at some point in the game. That was one hell of a game. They go ahead, I mean, first week they tackle the Patriots, who Patriots were just in the playoffs the year prior, so that was a big game to get over. They go ahead, they beat the Bills, and everybody's talking about, well, the Bills might go undefeated, the Bills might be the Super Bowl, and here we go. You got Tua Tagovailoa and the Miami Dolphins coming into town. Actually, well, they didn't come into town. It wasn't Miami. But either way, still went ahead, beat the Bills, and they were able to handle them pretty well. I mean, the way it looked 100% Miami Dolphins versus a 100% Buffalo Bills team. The Dolphins were the better team. And that's where the what-ifs come into play. Because after that game, the Miami Dolphins were not 100% the majority of the way through. And a lot of that has to do with Tua Tagovailoa constantly getting concussions. I mean, he's on his third concussion of the year. They're about to play the Bills in the playoffs. We don't even know if he's going to play. And then you look at it, well, we went ahead. We got Teddy Bridgewater as a backup. And he's played in a couple games this year, and he's played well. But all of a sudden, now he's got a fractured pinky, and it's like, well, okay, who else do we got? And then you go to Skylar Thompson. We watched him play last week against the Jets. You're not going to win many games like that, and it's a tough ask from a third-string quarterback. I mean, we can't all be Brock Purdy out here just acting like we never even lost a step when we go to our third-string quarterback. It's just, it's one of those things where it's like, damn, if Tua is healthy, if the offensive line's healthy, if the running game stays healthy, this is a squad that could potentially go to a Super Bowl. I mean, if they're healthy, and especially Tua, if Tua is healthy, this is a team that's already showed 100 on 100. They could beat the Bills. And they lost to the Bills a second time. But if we all saw that game, we knew the refs went ahead, got involved, and decided that the Dolphins were not going to win. Because the Dolphins should have won that game. But listen, and you can't really use that as an excuse because the refs did step into a lot of games this year and change the outcomes, which is unfortunate, but the refs like to be heard sometimes. And they decided they had some money on the Bills, so they went ahead and made the Bills win. But that's neither here nor there. Should have beat the Bills twice, but it's also the problem, like, consistency. You couldn't go on the road and beat the Niners. You couldn't go on the road and beat the Chargers, and that was arguably Tua's worst game of his career against the Chargers. I mean, I believe he went like 10 for 28 and 140-some yards. It was an awful performance. And then you go ahead, you also lose to the Vikings, but you go ahead, you beat the Lions, and the Lions should be in the playoffs. They're a hell of a team. They're playing good football when healthy. It's just every point of the season, somebody was out. It was either Tua was out, Jeff Wilson was out, Raheem Mostert's out, and now all of a sudden you go ahead, almost all the offensive line's out, and you can't play football like that. That's just not a recipe for success. And then you go ahead, and now they're heading into this playoff game. They got like 3 offensive linemen hurt. Tua might not play. Bridgewater might not play. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are dealing with ankle injuries. I mean, it's like, can this team catch a break? Honestly, I mean, it will always be the season of what-ifs because even though I'm not sure they could compete with the Bengals, Tua got a concussion earlier in the year when they ended up playing him. He wasn't playing that great. But, I mean, could they have beaten him? I don't know. Could they beat the Chiefs? I certainly think so. I think 100 on 100, Dolphins versus Chiefs, the Dolphins can win that game. And I don't like all these people coming out and saying, well, maybe Tua is just not the guy. He's injury prone. These are concussions. And concussions, as you get one, they can progress to getting them easier on in the future. But wow, you watch Tua play and you're like, damn, this has the potential of being a top 5 quarterback in the league. You go ahead, you look at his stats. He may have missed 4 games and he came out of like 3 others. All that time missed, he's still 8th in touchdown passes. He's still 12th in passing yards. Like, he's putting up decent stats in a decent season and almost missing an entire quarter of the season. It's unheard of. He plays that extra quarter of the season. He plays in those games. All of a sudden, the Dolphins aren't 7-3. I mean, they might be creeping up 12-5. They might be 11-6. Like, they're going to be a really good team in the future. And I think this might have been their year. And hopefully Tyreek Hill comes out and he plays the exact same next year, because this is going to be the team to watch next year. Tua stays healthy. Waddle stays healthy. They keep Mike McDaniels. I love Mike McDaniels. And I'm mad that I saw reports that they are toying with the ideas that if they miss the playoffs, it's going to be a one-and-done year for him. They're just going to scrap him. He's a hell of a coach. It's very hard to coach a team when the entire team can't stay healthy. And that's not on Mike McDaniel this time. I know a lot of teams, they get hurt, and I like to blame coaches. I like to blame training staff. All this shit is just like, it's freak injuries you can't really even prevent or plan for. Watching the Dolphins this season, it's been a lot of fun. And I think everybody's seen a game or two and said, wow, this team is exciting to watch. It's just unfortunate it's going to end like this. They're going to play the Bills in Buffalo. Probably not going to have Tua. The entire offensive line is going to be backups. I mean, hell, they might as well jog a high school line out there. Tyreek Hill, Waddle, they're banged up. Mostert's not even going to play because he's got a broken thumb. They got Jeff Wilson, but and it might end up being okay. You know, it's going to be a cold game. Jeff Wilson's a power back. Might be able to prove something. And that defense is still solid. The defense hasn't been great, but the additions of Bradley Chubb, Xavier Howard getting back to his self, it's gonna be known as a season of what ifs for the Dolphins this year, but it's also going to be known as a season of what could be next year. And I think the Miami Dolphins are going to be the team to watch next season. Am I right? I guess we'll have to sit and wait. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. If you have something to add about the Miami Dolphins, leave it down in the comments. I'd love to read everybody's comments. And if there's another video that you want me to make, leave that down in the comments as well, and I'll be sure to make it as soon as I can. Always remember, right on, brother, and we'll see you in the next one.